Attention! Attention, attention! Please evacuate in an orderly manner. No, I just wanted to, in the event of an emergency, no, sorry. Hello everyone, good evening. Thank you very much everyone for coming, even though the weather is not the best and the traffic is probably even worse. I want to acknowledge there are quite a few ministers and dignitaries here tonight, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, friends from civil society, from the private sector, pretty much all the staff, I think, of the Australian Embassy and other colleagues. So thank you very much for coming here tonight. This is, the invitation was a bit vague, but it's a farewell, it's a joint farewell tonight because Rebecca and I and our kids are leaving and returning to Australia. Our posting finishes this week. And also Ryan and Laura Tierney and their family are also finishing up this week. And we've all been in Cambodia for 3 years plus, so it's a combined farewell. Call it a cost-saving measure. You know, budgets are tight these days. But before I go any further, I would like to invite Yoshi and Mika Araki. Yoshi is the managing director of the Emion apartments and hotel, some of you will know, and quite a few of my team have stayed at or are staying at, and good friends of ours, and they have asked to perform a little song tonight. So it's over to Yoshi and Mika.
An empty city, never feel still Australia home and always traveling and living free, so I keep leaving the sun and the sea, but my heart like waiting over the fire is to go Australia home. Oh, to Senator, spin around the world, away from the family and the friends. But the war gets older and colder. It's good to know where your journey ends. Someday we'll be together once more, when all the ships come back to the shore, when I realize something I've always known, still call Australia home. No matter how far, how wide the world, still call Australia, we still call Australia, we still call Australia home.
Thank you very much, Yoshi and Mika. That was I Still Call Australia Home by Peter Allen. Could I now ask as I said, this is the joint farewell tonight, and I'd like to call up Ryan Tierney. Ryan has been our Senior Administrative Officer at the Australian Embassy for the past 3 and a bit years, and Chief Representative for playing golf in the Embassy. And I'd like to ask him to come forward. Thanks. Okay, thank you, Ryan. And my speech will definitely not be as long as that. In fact, I wasn't quite sure what to say, but Rebecca has written it out on a post-it note for me. So this is not a formal speech. I'd have my iPad and I'd be blah blah blah, but no, this is just me. So firstly, I'm not sure this is any particular order. I didn't get the chance to discuss this with Rebecca earlier. But I'd like to thank Monty and the fact that we have a marquee tonight, which not many of you seem to be using, but if you think it's crowded in here after the speeches, feel free to spread out, because that is there to keep you dry, theoretically. I'd like to thank JLL for organising all the lighting for this evening, Seekers for the great tailored cocktails, and for your overall support to the Embassy's operations over the course of the past at least 3 years, and of course we have Australia Day coming up as well. 111 for the catering, Cambodiana for helping out with the service, my team here at the residence for setting up for tonight and for all your work over the time that we've been here. I was working out, this was the 85th event that we've hosted here, and that's including COVID, so it's not a bad effort, but it does take a lot of work. So thank you very much to the team. Strela is taking photographs. Thanks very much, Strela, for that. Yoshi and Miko, of course, for the performance earlier, and all of you for just being here. I did scribble some things on the other side as well. Let me get to those. Firstly, of course, the family, it's something that is an often overlooked or invisible, almost supporting role. But I think anyone who knows Rebecca would know that she's far from invisible. She's a force of nature. I did ask her if she wanted to say a few words tonight, but some of you may have seen her Facebook interview with DJ Nana, and that was like 17 minutes. Probably long enough. I wanted to also point out the fact that in addition to supporting me, and as Ryan said, of course, we had online learning with our kids for about half of our posting, supporting the house and the events here. She was also for 2 years working in the embassy as the community liaison officer, whose main role was to support newly arrived staff and their families to Cambodia, and this is right in the middle of COVID. And normally it's a 1-year role, but no one wanted to do it the second year. So Rebecca, and she did a great job. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, because she's the one, setting up accommodation and food and where to go for groceries and settling in kits and all of that work, which is essential to starting off on the right foot as well as leaving on the right foot. I want to thank our kids. They are hiding upstairs, Jackson and Lewis. It's been a tough posting for them. I think having to come from a very familiar environment and almost straight away go into a COVID situation and having to do online schooling for 1.5 years without having made any friends was very tough. They have really done a great job, and it's part of the reason we're going back is to go back for them so they can continue their schooling in Australia with their friends. So I wanted to thank them. I also, some of you might think this is funny, but we have 2 cats, 2 Burmese cats that we brought from Canberra. and they were an enormous source of comfort as well during the height of the pandemic. And I'm really sorry for them, because going back to Australia from Cambodia, if you're a cat, is a very long, convoluted process. And if you thought that quarantining as a human during COVID was difficult, then be thankful you're not a pet, because it's a considerably longer period of time in worse conditions. Anyway, so thank you to Bailey and Kenton. Firstly, also all the staff of the embassy. There's a lot of you here tonight, and you know, of course, some of you have only joined quite recently, and I haven't really had much chance to get to know you personally. But I think there's also some former staff here tonight as well. You know, as Ryan alluded to, it's been difficult. We had the Romdul and the Kupre split teams for around 6 months, where we couldn't see each other if you're on the other team. It was very difficult for the periods when we were in lockdown, but you couldn't ask for a more energetic and motivated and dedicated group of Cambodian staff than we have been blessed to have working with us. And also to all the Australian-based staff, both past and former. Thank you very much, and I hope that the remainder of your postings is a bit easier than it was for some of us over the past 3 years. In particular, I don't want to single out people necessarily, but I'd just like to mention, as Ryan has already done, Laura, who was my executive assistant for almost the full 3 years, and a much harder job than looking after Ryan, because I didn't play golf. So I wanted to thank her. And also Mr. Lee, who was my main driver, and drove me all over the place, all over Cambodia, basically. Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. And to the entire transport team. Speaking of embassy drivers, I also would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that Mr. Ki Moy is here tonight. Mr. Ki Moy commenced work at the Australian Embassy in 1959. And was the ambassador's driver. And Mr. Moy is certainly the oldest, the embassy staff member with the longest service record at the embassy, and thank you very much for making it here. I have, we arrived in Cambodia in December 2019, and when people sort of know that, they say, oh, that's really unlucky because you had the whole of COVID. But when it comes down to it, we actually consider ourselves very lucky to have been in Cambodia during the pandemic, and I don't think there's any country that we would rather have been in, including Australia, because both from a personal basis and also from a professional level, it's just been one of those unforgettable experiences. Everybody here tonight will remember where they were when COVID first became a big thing, and we were here, and it's been an experience that we will never forget. So last but not least, for those of you who haven't yet met my successor, Justin Wyatt, and his wife Tara, they are here tonight, and they start officially on Monday. So it's your challenge to seek them out and introduce yourselves and have a drink with them. Justin and Tara were here many years ago. It was Justin's first posting overseas as a diplomat, and so it's a coming home for them. And I'm sure they will have a fantastic time, and I'm sure you will all give them a very big welcome. So that's it from me, that's it from us, and that's it for the formalities. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry about the weather, but as some people have already said, I think Cambodia's a bit sad that Ryan and Laura are leaving. And happy crying tears of joy that we're going to.